I'm Matt from Grinding Eyes, and we've got a new album coming out called Out of Focus, due out this week on the 4th.
It is indeed, Matt. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and good afternoon.
Evening indeed. Now, as you say, Grinding Eyes release your third studio album, Out of Focus, this Friday, April the 4th. So how are you feeling about it?
I'm sort of good. I'm actually relieved to get it out, actually. It's been backlogged for a little while, and we recorded it over a year ago, so it's just nice to actually, kick it and get going, and you can actually do the fun part of touring it now.
How do you go with things like that as a band, though, bro? Like you say, you recorded it over a year ago. Like, I know people, and especially musicians, change a lot over the course of 12 months. So now this song's music's coming out. Have you moved on from it in some respect?
Absolutely. We're probably like halfway through writing a new record now and dived into new material. And then when you go out to sort of get this one going, you got to almost go back and relearn the songs. I'm listening to some of them going, what's going on here? You sure that's me? I'm not actually sure that's actually me. Yeah, there's some sort of weird gremlins going on here. I don't remember doing that. But no, you do. You sort of get lost in it, and then you're sort of in some sort of floating limbo till you get the album out, you get to tour it, and then you get to sort of really work it for crowds. So that's the main thing, I think.
Wait, so tell us a bit more about Out of Focus from a musical point of view then, and what you were going for 12 months ago.
Uh, well, with this album, I suppose we sort of concentrated a little bit more on the sounds where previously we'd pretty much done everything live. We'd sort of dive straight in, just start recording, do sort of a lot of long sessions and sort of see what comes out. This one, we tried to refine it a little bit more, do most of the songwriting, and we actually played most of these songs live for a couple of months. So they became a life of their own. So we sort of wanted to really harness more of a tighter formatted sort of sound where we could mess with it more in the studio than just having the sort of raw organic rock and roll feel of it.
So you've released the singles We Move Slowly, Gotta Hold On, and In the Reflection. So
Yeah.
they a good sonic representation, what to expect, or are they just scratching the surface?
Um, they're sort of they sort of would probably bookend the album, I'd say, pretty well, but there's a lot of stuff in between it that I would say they don't really touch on. So I think when you put out a single, you sort of want it to represent and stand alone a little bit itself. So yeah, this album's pretty broad. It's got a lot of different atmosphere and a lot of different sort of vibe happening to it. Some of it's really dark, some of it's really heavy, some of it's really quite ambient. So yeah, there's a lot in there.
One of those singles, In the Reflection, also opens the album with a 60s sort of psychedelic vibe, and there's haunting organs going on. Then they get smashed by a massive layer of fuzzy guitar. Like, it's an almost mesmerizing track in a sense. Is that why you chose it as the first representation of the album?
I think so, yeah, because it does start off like that, and it does like when everything kicks in, it does have a real sort of I remember an engineer saying to me, it slaps you in the face like a cold fish. And I sort of like that when the whole album kicks in and the guitars come in, it is a bit of a face slap to you. So I think that was why it ended up being the first song on the album. So yeah, that was sort of quite intentional to really have it set up so it doesn't sort of, move anything. It doesn't sort of ponder along. It sort of just, yeah, you start from go and you get the intensity straight from the second bar pretty much.
Yeah, nice. Now, you guys have managed to create a fresh sound in an established genre by blending shoegaze rock. There's alternative rock in there. There's garage punk. There's a lot of different things in there. Like, was that a planned musical amalgamation, or did it develop more naturally?
No, it just happens organically. We really try to never pigeonhole ourselves as such. So whatever happens in the rehearsal room pretty much stays, really. We sort of don't really refine it as such. We've all got pretty diverse, different music tastes. So we're sort of a melting pot of everybody's tastes. And half the time when you least expect it, the song comes out totally different from what you're expecting. But if you like it, somebody else is going to like it somewhere. So we don't try to fuck with it too much. We just sort of try to let it do its own thing, breathe naturally, and don't try to, you know, make it something that it really isn't. So if it goes in its own way, its own direction, we just let it be its own beast and do it.
Well, now, Grinding Eyes features past and present members of bands like the Mess Hall, there's Treatment, the Laurels, Kimono, Drag Queens, and Bliss. Like, when you come together and start a band like this from other bands, like, how do you decide how much of those other bands to bring into your new project, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it's this with Grinding Eyes, it came from really just a lot of friends. We would basically just spend time, and it was more sort of, how would you say, drunken late night impromptu jams pretty much. And it really was a bit of a side project for us all really at the start. I wasn't really even living in Sydney when we sort of first started it. So it was like I would come in and out, and we would just sort of get together. So I think for everybody, it was a bit of a breath of fresh air. So it's away from everybody else's band. So I don't think you would try to steer away from your other projects, but you definitely didn't want it to be a carbon copy of it. So we sort of were trying to broaden the horizons, push it a little bit different directions. So I think, like we said before, everybody's got such different, diverse music tastes. So it really wasn't going to sound like one specific person's project. So, but it's good to have the experience and the know-how of everybody that's doing stuff. So we got experience to burn pretty much, but it's you try to stay away from making it sound anything like you've already done, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
You hit the road soon for an Australian tour, mate, starting in Sydney on April the 11th, then hitting Port Kembla, Bendigo, Melbourne, Torquay before finishing
Yep.
in Castlemaine on the 21st of April. How much of the new album are you going to be playing on that?
They will be playing a lot of it, actually. Like I said before, there's a couple of songs we haven't actually played live much. So we've been trying to flush them out a bit and trying to relearn them. So I'd say 90% of the set will be pretty much the new album. There's a couple of brand new ones that we've got that are going to be off the next album. And then maybe a couple of the old classics that got us going at the start. So yeah, we don't try to set too much in stone before we sort of start playing it. Sort of try to gauge it a little bit show by show. Some shows really take you by surprise, and stuff works a little bit better than other stuff. Sometimes if it's heavier, or sometimes if it's you want it to breathe and space out a little bit more, you go in that direction. So yeah, so answer your question, I'm waffling away from it. Yeah, I'd say 90% of the 90% of the set will be this album, I'd say.
Nice. And from there, bro, you're off to Europe to support. I can either say pigs, 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 or pigs times seven, but you're going over for their main run of shows, mate. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, it is very exciting for us. We did a run with them in Australia and New Zealand last year, and we're fortunate enough they asked us to join them with in Europe this year for their album run. So yeah, no, that's great. We sort of teamed up with a couple of other friends like OCs and Graveyard and a couple of other bands that we're teed up with as well. So, but Pig's the main priority for us. Yeah, so it's going to be a super fun run, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
So where can people keep up with Grinding Eyes or buy themselves some merch?
I would say social media and go to the old legendary Bandcamp. That always does well for us, and they don't take massive cuts. And they have a great let us know who's ordering and who wants what Bandcamp is. So I'd say hit Bandcamp up, and if not, just social media.
Fantastic, man. All right, well, thanks for joining us. Out of Focus is out this April. The boys hit the road from April the 11th, so keep an eye on their socials and catch them in a town near you.
Thank you very much for having me.